to ashes. That was a long time ago. And time as it passes to this life that I know. Well, it's naked as we come and naked as we go.
She was a kid that never had anything but love and compassion for people around her. And she was somebody that connected really well with people. And whether it be her friends or her friends' parents or her sister Morgan's friends' parents and Morgan's friends, she would create those bonds. I had a lot of compassion for Darren's teachers and her sports coaches. And it was to see the look on their face. It was almost like, wow, they're feeling what I'm feeling. How did we not know this? And there was so much guilt and pain with it. And I think it's made it difficult then for all of us. We are left with why. And I know how I feel, and I'm very compassionate for the other people that have been left with the why. As for answers, we will never have answers. We won't. Darren's not here for us to ask her. But what we can do is stop and ask each and every one of our youth, are you okay? How are you feeling? People talk to us about healing. I'm not sure when it starts. I'm sure it has, it just doesn't feel like it. It's definitely a journey. The wounds are deep, the despair is endless. The loss is just too great. You don't want it to happen. You don't want suicide to be a part of your life. You don't want it to touch you. It's touched many of us. It's touched more of us than I ever knew. When people share their stories, I'm comforted to know that they're comfortable telling me and sharing that, because it's a really, really hard thing to share. I think all of us want to feel that we're not alone. I'm not really sure, though, if you ever heal from something like this. I don't think you do.
Can you calm my mind with a shot and a dream? Well, I dreamed of you and I running far and back again. Well, it's naked as we go and naked as we came.
Before everything happened with Darren, and I had no connection to mental health or suicide or anything like that. And I think what I didn't understand was that mental health and youth suicide can honestly affect everyone. Like, it changed my life in so many different ways, negatively and positively. You just feel like you have a hole in your heart and like something's missing, and it's so hard. Like, it's unbelievably hard to get through. Like, you feel guilty, and that's one of the hardest things that I think me and a lot of my friends had to deal with was, what if? What if she had told one of us? What if we had seen one of the signs? What if, like, we could have helped her? Once you lose somebody, it's like immediately you don't know what to do and you feel numb. You're scared to say, yeah, I might be depressed. All I knew was that I felt down all the time. And every little thing reminded me of Darren. You can't just put it under the carpet, not talk about it. It's happening, and it's happened to people, and it's happened to my best friend. By Darren not talking about it, horrible things happen, and talk about it. That's how we will overcome youth suicide and mental health.
Well, you don't know where I've been. You don't know what I've seen. Well, come to me closer and sit down upon my knee. Well, it's naked as we go and naked as we leave.
I thought it was just me because I viewed the general high school population as successful and outgoing and always talkative. And it seemed that I could not fit in. So I secluded myself. I didn't talk to my parents. I just withdraw in my room, sleep for hours, days, you know. That ended up basically having me drop out of grade 10. In the end, I sort of separated from my friends. I would definitely, you know, contemplate if I weren't around, you know. Nothing serious, nothing harmful, more just theories of, you know, do I make a difference if I'm here or not? I felt that my own thinking was smaller than myself. I was almost thinking about nothing, and I was so frustrated and worried that I could barely function. When you're down and out, it's a long trip back up, and for me it was just talking to people, you know. Everyone needs to know they're loved. You know, if you're worried about someone, really invest your time, because people are definitely worth it. They're not gonna disappoint you when you really figure out what they're going through.
When I leave here tomorrow, you know it's never a shame. When I leave here tomorrow, you know it's never the same.
My friend she called me over and she told me she wanted to commit suicide, and most kids probably wouldn't know what to do, or they would probably judge and be like, why do you feel like that, and saying it in the wrong way, and then that would just make the person disconnect even more from everybody. But I tried to say, okay, well, why do you feel this way? And she said, don't tell anybody. And I said, well, I can't really not tell anybody, because I'd rather have you angry at me than you not hear at all. So I talked to my mom, and she helped me, and she wasn't angry at me. At the end, she thanked me, because she was like, I feel a lot better now. It feels like the weight of the world was lifted off my shoulders. I don't feel alone. You're right, there was always a solution to every problem. So I just tried to help her in the best way I could.
Can you calm my mind with a shot and a dream? Well, I dreamed of you and I running far and back again.
I'm pretty much your typical teenager. Blonde hair, brown eyes, hair that sticks up, gets in my face. I get pretty good grades. Like, I'm not the typical depressed teen that you would think of. I was just so completely opposite myself. I just felt like death was just surrounding me, and I remember just like on my mind a lot of things were about death, and I was just sitting there, and then I started getting scared, like, what if that happens to me? What if, like, I know at that point I knew it was depression, and I knew that sometimes people with depression could commit suicide. So then I was like, what if that happens to me? Like, I'm here and that's there. Like, how do I get to that point? How do I know when I'm getting to that point, and how do I stop myself? Because I don't want to, but what if I do eventually? My mom spent hours and hours and hours on the phone with people at CHEO, at the Royal Ottawa, and they said, well, yeah, the waiting list is 9 months, and oh, but wait, she's almost 16, so then she can go to the Royal. The waiting's only 4 months, and anything could happen in 4 months. So my mom ended up calling a doctor who specializes in mental health, teen mental health. So we ended up going to her, and she ended up being able to like suggest things for me and really take care of me until I could get admitted. And once you talk to someone, that second you tell someone that you're feeling certain feelings, then you're immediately not alone, which is what depression likes to do. It likes it likes to make you feel alone. But then what you have to do is you have to say, no, I'm not alone because I've just told someone.
When I leave here tomorrow, you know it's never a shame. When I leave here tomorrow, you know it's never the same.
There's no going back. I feel like I want to swim up a waterfall to get my daughter back. I know what can happen. I'm living it. I'm living it. My child didn't say, I didn't ask. I'd like to have that conversation. I do have that conversation now. Those are conversations Luke and I have with Morgan. We ask her, we talk about it. They're not easy conversations, but we know what can happen if you don't have those conversations.
When I leave here tomorrow, you know it's never a shame.
I think kids need to know that life without them is terrible. Each and every one of our kids matter. You matter. Life is not good without you.
When I leave here tomorrow, you know it's never the same. Well, it's naked as we go, and naked as we came. And it's naked as we go, and naked